Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. It's the chart show and it's Halloween. Cause it's a thriller night. Halloween chart show counting down the top 10 Manchester United players of the week, including Chelsea and the demolition of RB Leipzig. That was a bit of a horror show, wasn't it? But realistically, who's in, who's out? We've had some big climbers and we've had some... Look, I can tell you right now, not in the top 10 this week. Mason Greenwood, Donny van der Beek, Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay. They are not in the top 10, and that's music to my ears, which is more than my singing is, because it means that the top 10 is doing what it should do. It means that the chart show is doing what it should do. Manchester United players kicking players that you'd think were in the top 10 out because the quality bar is high. And straight in at number 10 this week, he is a new entry. His name is Nemanja Matic. Ghostbusters! There's something strange in the neighbourhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Well, what's that got to do with Matic? Well, it's a Halloween theme and ghosts and everything. And I'm stretching a little bit here, but I was thinking he's been a bit of a ghost the last month, hasn't he, Matic? And he's risen from the dead like a ghost. Because after that Spurs demolition, which I've used twice now, annihilation, that's another word. Could use that for Halloween as well. After the Spurs annihilation, Matic was somewhat the fall guy, the crash test dummy. He was thrown away. And with their tanks and their bombs in your head, they're still fighting. No, that's not the wrong song. Zombie, risen from the dead, like a zombie as well. I could have used that. There's loads I could use. Wish it was Halloween every week. Anyway, Matic this week didn't play against Chelsea, came in only for an hour against RB Leipzig, but was superb. The conductor of the base of the midfield, but also the defence as well. I think McTominay's doing a good job there, but I think Matic is an elite player in that position. Yes, he doesn't have the mobility that he did maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but a little bit like Carrick in his latter years. In Matic, you see a player that... Look, Michael Carrick was conducting the Manchester United midfield at a very high level into his mid-30s. Matic isn't in his mid-30s yet, so why can't he conduct it like Carrick used to? Very important to have that leadership and experience. And I don't mean leadership in relation to a captain's armband, but authority. So I thought Matic was absolutely fantastic in the game against Leipzig, and we need him in there. And he gives us that stability, and he gives us that composure. So good performance from Matic. Number 9, this is the one. This is the one. This is the one. This is the one I'm waiting for. Paul Pogba. This is the one I'm waiting for. This is the Paul Pogba I'm waiting for. The Paul Pogba that actually delivers and you think there is a future with Paul Pogba. Now that future may only be 8 months when he sods off to Real Madrid in the summer. But in this diamond formation, diamonds are forever, forever. I can't stand Shirley Bassey singing Bond, but maybe she didn't do that. Maybe she did. But there's not many great Bond songs. That's going to set people off. But Paul Pogba, left side of the diamond. This is the one. This is the Paul Pogba we want to see. Fantastic against Leipzig, much like Matic, very similar. So they're both new entries. If Pogba can build on this and if Matic can build on that, I think our midfield is suddenly looking very, very strong. And it was good to see Pogba in a position where his defensive responsibilities were not as disciplined as they are when he plays in a 4-3-3. He plays to that left-hand side. He can be more creative. The assist on the goal for Greenwood was superb. And I'm excited to see Pogba grow. He's still not fully fit. I don't care what anybody says. He's not fully fit. But fantastic performance from Pogba. And certainly one that I was very happy with. I wish people would stop ringing me when I'm filming. It's probably my own fault. But leave me alone. Anyway, next we're in with Martial. Martial number 8. Come on, feel the noise. Girls, grab the boys. We'll get wild, wild, wild at your door. Classic Slade covered by Oasis. Anyway, Martial in at number 8 this week. Another new entry. And was he a new entry or was Martial in last week? Martial was not in last week, was he? No. Obviously couldn't play against Chelsea, but I thought his performance against Leipzig, again, the first 3 entries are all getting in off their Leipzig performance. And I thought Martial played really, really well in that game. Some people didn't think he played so good. I thought he did. I mean, that's a good European side. Yes, he didn't get the hat-trick of Rashford, but he got his penalty. He kept working. He kept his head up, got an assist. Led the line really maturely with Greenwood and then with Rashford. And I think, both those scored as well. I'm excited to see Martial back after the Arsenal game playing in this diamond in a front two. I think it's made for him. And I think Martial and Rashford in a front two. Martial and Greenwood in a front two. You got Cavani as well. Very happy with Martial. Thought he played really, really well. Number 7 is... Oh, God, who's number 7? Oh, right. I think I know. Also, stop! Collaborate and listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly. Flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Where's it gonna stop, yo? I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll go. To the extreme, I rock mic like Mike a Vandal. Light up a stage and wax a chimp like a candle. Pumping. Ice, ice, baby. Bam, 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 bam. Ice, ice, baby. I messed that up. It went better in rehearsals. Imagine if I did do rehearsals. I don't do rehearsals. I literally just got the lyrics up on the street and tried to read them. But yes, Lindelof is in at number 7. The Iceman played very, very well. He was man of the match against Chelsea, actually. I mean, we're talking about the Leipzig game a lot this week because it was the better game. It was absolutely superb, as we know. But we did get a draw out of Chelsea, and Lindelof was the man of the match in that game. So I feel that he deserves to move up from last week, where he was number 8. Moves up by 1 position for a man of the match performance. But as I said, the Leipzig game was so elite. It was one of our best performances in a long time. That is the one that really takes preference. But Lindelof's done well, and look, Maguire's not even in the top 10. So fair play to Lindelof in a team that won 5-0 to get, to be hanging around at number 7 as a centre back. And look, I don't think any United fan is in love with our centre backs. I think, we know that that's a weak area, but Lindelof's had a good week. So fair play to him. Number 6 again. I think, look, Luke Shaw was last week's number 6, so he holds on to that position. Nothing more to say about Luke Shaw, really. I like him. He's playing because Telles is obviously out with COVID at the moment. I could have sang a song about that, but I'm not going to. It's a serious pandemic. And Luke Shaw was very, very good against Leipzig and very good against Chelsea. 2 clean sheets. And I think... whilst I don't think the centre-backs were a massive part of that, I think the full-backs were, and I think Luke Shaw in both games was good. And he should have had an assist and he could have had a goal against Leipzig. So if he can get forward again against Arsenal at the weekend, look, Luke Shaw's very reliable. He's very reliable. I know some people don't like him, but he's Mr. Consistent. Very, very consistent for us, and that's what you want, especially at left-back. So good performance from Luke Shaw. Who's at number 5? You can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. This gun is for hire. Even if you're just dancing in the dark. I love that song, and it can only be Bruno. He is the fire starter, and again, he did it. I mean, I thought against Chelsea he had a good game. Again, because he didn't score or get a penalty, didn't have a good game. His passing in the Chelsea game was so mature. He just kept the ball, and there wasn't... I mean, he's playing with Dan James and Juan Mata, for God's sake. And, I thought he had a good game against Chelsea, but I thought when he came on for that last half an hour against Leipzig, again, the game changed. He's the difference between Van der Beek at number 10, and I thought Van der Beek did well, and Bruno coming on at that number 10 or head of the diamond, it was night and day. He's such an important player for us. And I think we're so used to seeing Bruno every game that when we didn't see him start against Leipzig and then he came on, you see how good he is. And obviously got an assist and could have had a goal, should have had another assist or 2. Fantastic player. And number 5, I mean, he should be better than that. Last week he's dropped, actually. He's dropped 3 places to number 5, and that's not because of a bad performance. He's dropped 3 places because there's some fantastic performances ahead of him. So fair play to those ahead of him, of which number 4 this week is David De Gea. Even though it says number 3, that's a typo. He's at number 4. De Gea's done really well to keep on to this spot, because last week David De Gea was number 3. So he's dropped 1 spot to number 4. Hence why he says number 3 on there, because I haven't changed the number. Lazy, you and me, all we want to be is lazy. Suede. People won't know who that is. David De Gea is number 4 this week. Drops 1 place. I'm saying it like it's a bad thing. And the reason for that is just that the reason he's retained such a high spot, because he's had 2 clean sheets, but I think as a goalkeeper, concentration is really important, and it's something that David De Gea has had levelled at him for quite a while now, that his concentration levels haven't been great. Over the last 2 weeks and the 4 games that he's played, those concentration levels have been superb. And I think against Leipzig, that save he made from the header that was point blank and he got his hand up really quickly, that was pretty much his only real save in the game, but it was crucial, and it was at a crucial time, and it was a world-class save. So, David De Gea, he doesn't have to make 20 saves for me. It's about the concentration levels. I'm more impressed if he has nothing to do for 89 minutes and then in the 90th minute he pulls out a world-class save. That's what a top keeper is for me, and I think De Gea at the moment deserves his credits completely. Number 3, the real number 3 this week was last week's number 1, but I'm still going to say it. Shoot me down and I won't fall. I am titanium. He is still titanium. He's just not. He's up against 2 people this week who you can't really split them. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka, number 1 last week. Realistically, on any other week, I think he would have. If he played for Arsenal, he'd be number 1 for the next 5 months. He's playing really well, Wan-Bissaka. He's done nothing really to lose the number 1 spot, apart from it's a little bit like being number 1 when you're Robbie Williams and Oasis and Adele release a classic song. You're not going to be number 1, Robbie. And a bit like that for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You've had a very good week. You were deservedly number 1 last week, but there are 2 players that have dislodged you, and this is the great thing. People who are having great weeks are dropping down. Wan-Bissaka's dropped, De Gea's dropped, Bruno's dropped. They've been very good this week, but there are 2 players that have been absolutely magnificent. And the first one is this week's number 2. He's a high climber. He's climbed 5 spots from last week's number 7. In he comes. Feed the world. It's Marcus Rashford. And he's in at number 2. And look, it's a bit like the Man of the Match award against Leipzig on Wednesday. Some people would say Rashford should be number 1. And, what I would say to Rashford is, go and get number 1 next week. Go and get a hat-trick against Arsenal, and then you will definitely be number 1. Go and beat Arsenal and you're number 1. I'll give it you now, Marcus. But really, look, that hat-trick against Leipzig, and he could have had more. And also, I think against Chelsea, he could have had a couple of goals there. Ever since that goal against PSG, where actually, thinking back to that PSG game, I don't think Rashford played that well. Few times he got in, he got caught up, a couple of shots, and then he scored that goal at the end, and he's never looked back. Flair, confidence player. And the great thing about Rashford at the moment is that he's playing on the edge. He's playing the way he should do. Marcus Rashford is one of those on-the-edge players that shouldn't overthink it. When he stops in his run, or he tries and plays a little pass, Rashford is a brilliant player when he just plays on the edge. He plays on his emotions. He plays on adrenaline. And that's what we're seeing with Rashford at the moment. Like, he nearly scored that great goal against Leipzig where he skipped past a few players. He's just in the groove at the moment. And I should have sang that. Get into the groove, for you gotta prove your love to me. Madonna. Anyway, he's in the groove, and I hope he stays in the groove. And if he stays in the groove, he will be next week's number 1. But he's this week's number 2, and it's been a great, great week for Marcus Rashford, as we have seen. Which means this week's number 1, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise. In touch with the ground, I'm lost and I'm found. I'm on a hunt, I'm after you. I smell like a sound, I'm lost in the ground. And I'm hungry like a wolf. He's hungry like a wolf. He is hungry like a wolf. And he is out to be fed, hunting down the prey in the Manchester United midfield. His name is Fred, and he is number 1. That's what I said. Right said Fred. I'm not doing a Right Said Fred song. I refuse. But he has and does deserve to be number 1 this week. The funny thing is, I was looking at Fred. Last week, he was in at number 4. We were doing the chart show before lockdown, and he actually was number 1 for the first 2 weeks that we ever did our chart show, which must have been around March time. So he's probably been number 1 more than any player, which is quite funny because we still see Fred as a reserve. I still think he's seen as a reserve. I don't think he's actually established. And this is what I'm trying to say. He should be. For me, he's in the groove like Wan-Bissaka, like Rashford, like Bruno, like De Gea. He's one of our 5 players that are in their groove. They're playing at their absolute limit at the moment, and they're playing really, really well. He should be one of the first names on the team sheet. And yet I still think there is this perception from the media, and maybe even from Ollie and the coaching staff, that when everybody's fit and ready, Fred goes back to the bench, which is ridiculous because he's consistently in the top 5 when we do these chart shows. Massively, massively important player. He is the only player that can go out and hunt the ball like a wolf. And he was a massive part of that Leipzig game on Wednesday. And I think that, look, Rashford took the glory, he took the match ball, he got the hat-trick. But Fred, for the thinking person or anybody who appreciates football, they'll know that Fred was just amazing in that performance. And if he was 22 and he was English, they'd be saying he's the next best brilliant midfielder in the world. But because it's Fred and we paid 50 million for him and it's been a bit of a slow and up and down start, he doesn't get the recognition. But I think United fans are giving him the recognition, and I think he thoroughly deserves that, and he thoroughly deserves to be number one this week. And as I said, it's a bit unfortunate for Wan-Bissaka to lose his spot, but Rashford and Fred this week have been amazing. And the great thing when I look at the chart show this week, because there is a serious element to it beyond my crappy singing, there is a serious element that this is our top 10 players of the week. And you might agree with them, get in the comments below if you don't or you do. But the really, really positive thing is that there are players like Cavani, there are players like Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Donny van der Beek, Mason Greenwood, just off the top of my head, who are nowhere near this top 10 at this moment in time. Tellez is another one because of it, for illness. So you've got 5 or 6 players that you think they're not even getting in the top 10 for justified reasons at the moment, but they've got every chance to be getting into the top 10 in the coming weeks and months ahead. So we're looking good. But we've just got to be not in a position after the match tomorrow against Arsenal where we're going, we've drawn again. Because at the moment, we're just still struggling for that consistency. We're unbeaten, and that's better than we were doing, but we need to start winning in the Premier League and sending the message out in the Premier League that we are doing in Europe. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Halloween. We've got a combined 11 coming up this afternoon with one of the Arsenal Fan TV lads, which is very, very, very good. Back again at 8 o'clock tonight live as well. Smash a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll speak to you all soon.